This is dry, and I've made two versions of blue violet, a lighter one, slightly more watery, and a darker one with a smaller brush. And since the church is the darkest part of this image, if I zoom into this, the roof of the church is quite detailed in a way. The profile is, anyway. Try and get that profile right. Ultramarine, permanent rose, and a little cadmium yellow made this colour. That's mostly ultramarine. So number 4 round brush and number 3 round brush are painting into the silhouette of the church, trying to catch that before it has a chance to dry, so that there aren't any lines formed. That's just a flat wash over the whole of the church, trying to avoid overbrushing, because that again could disturb the colour that's already there, the orange. That could potentially mix with the violet and lose its translucency. So the bottom edge of that sort of disappears into the mist a little bit. So this is this lighter violet colour, and that with a soft brush there is a little more focused edge to the marshes coming nearer in this blue-violet mixture. Slightly uneven terrain here with going down towards the dike. I'm just going to try and paint this area on the left of the dike. Try and catch that before it dries. So because there's colour here already, the colour will tend to dry faster. It doesn't soak in so much. I'd like, if possible, for this to granulate a bit. Get that bit wetter. Come down to the edge of the dike. Use the brush upright. Just get the tip of the brush in contact, and make this uneven edge of reeds against the dike, which is sort of lit up by the sky, obviously. See if I can make that a little bit irregular there. With a slightly broken sort of look to this edge. Right down into that corner. And this uneven edge. That's probably enough of that side. That's quite a nice edge there. I'm going to let that be. It's difficult with watercolour sometimes. It does its own thing. Ultramarine, permanent rose, a little bit of cadmium yellow. Make this blue violet. So on this side of the dike there should be a channel, should be something going away into the distance there. Let's go over here, come out of that. Forgot to focus on this side on the right. There's a little bit of distance happening there in the drainage ditch. See if I can make that sort of finish there. something on the nearer edge there, a tree perhaps, bush. Lots of colour, lots of water. And these little uneven marks along the edge of the dike. So recharging the brush, that's important, otherwise the brush just simply brushes around the same bit of colour, which then will not granulate. So because this is an orange underneath, the blue is, the effect of the blue is reduced, but you can still see this as like layers of glass, one going over the other. So I'm going to try and work onto the darker bit of the church and the reeds. And the reeds, I have a steel pen, an old-fashioned steel pen, and if I take a brush and just do that and charge the pen with the colour that I've been using, I'm going to try and draw into these reeds in the stream using a steel pen and a little bit of watercolour. There's quite fine marks, they give a scale to the image. Let's have a look at that closer up. So the reeds come out of the water on a sort of level and then go up, and it's the upward edge that's uneven, the lower edge that can be flat. So it's being the same colour, shouldn't be any different from the surroundings. A little more concentrated because it's going on slightly drier. So there are islands of reeds in this drainage dike. A little bit of island of reed there. Just building that up. Thought about using a small brush for this. I think the pen is more controllable. That should merge with the left side of the bank. So a little bit more colour, load it onto the pen. So look at this foreground. There's very little sharp or detail of any sort in this image. It's all rather hazy. The reeds do provide a scale for this. Try and get that lower edge flat. So it's a mark I'm pushing down and letting go, hoping that mark might taper a little bit. And these reeds should be taller nearer, appear taller nearer, and shorter further away. Wet on dry. A bit too wet there. I'm looking for a pattern in these reeds, sort of some areas that are denser, some areas that are more open. I think that's about it. So when you layer the same colour onto, well, the same colour, that, because this is wet and this is dry now, the result will be darker, something darker. So again, ultramarine, permanent rose and cadmium yellow make this a violet grey. Possibly a little more red in this time in the mix. A little more cadmium yellow too. That makes a slightly browner colour. I've lost the drawing a little bit here, but there is this, the facade is just slightly darker, so this bit here and this part of the tower just a little bit darker. Take this on here, violet colour, and a fairly flat wash again, not too much brushing around because that could undermine what's there. Shape of the church, this roof is a little bit higher, this main roof, and the extension is a little bit lower. Just let that sort of drift unevenly downwards, and there should be dark on the side of the tower here. Tiny bit of perspective suggested by that. So with the other brush, with the natural fibre brush, I'm just going to put this shadow on this bank. Side to side movement. Something like that. Brush has got a nice tip to it, so try and use that. A little bit of shadow further up. Tiny bit of shadow there. Generally there's not much detail, it's all rather misty. I'm going to lose that in a bit of water there. Lose that edge. Lose this edge a little bit. I'm going to put, so looking at reflections as well as the bank, there's the reflection of the bank and a little bit of the reflection of the top of the tower of the church, and it's a little more density in some of these reeds here. So the detail, some of the detail will be the last thing to go in, would be with the steel pen and the same colour used all along. There looks to be some sort of gate behind the church. Ooh, that's too wet. Just lift that out gently. So the pen should have been held more upright. There is some sort of gate behind the church. Let's see if I can get that drawn in. Steel pen can be a little temperamental, particularly just using watercolour. It doesn't flow as well as ink. So there's something like this behind here, just a little bit of detail. And the last thing I think would be the weather vane, possibly lightning conductor. So this comes up there. Weather vane's a little bit thicker. I want that to be thinner looking, so just press down slightly. Press down a little bit there. Yeah, I don't want it to stand out too much. I think that's it. Ghostly sort of sunset rather, on St Thomas's Church, St Thomas Becket Church in Romney Marsh.